Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. YouTube live stream. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Okay, we are live on YouTube. Audio is working 5x5. I hope y'all hear me in return. Hold on. What's up, Daniel? Great to see you. Happy. I guess they used to say Happy Thor's Day. Thursday, Thor's Day, right? The hammer. The guy with the hammer they used to, I guess, bow down to. But anyways, check out Rumble. Make sure we're live over there. There's no problems. They're starting to hit our channels pretty hard to try to disrupt, cause interference, preempt our connections. The same old, right? Same old. During their Summer of Love operations, they're not very covert anymore. I mean, we already know what's going on. This channel's been hit many times, preempted or whatever, and deplatformed, censored, suspended, whatever, for just putting out information. Much of this stuff we hear from the mainstream media, but anyways, let me click over here to Rumble, make sure everything's working fine over there too as well. Stand by. Now, the place card holder video, I shared a short clip. I picked that link up, that video from Norm Eisen and the lawfare that they began on President Trump, the color revolution, you can call it, to eject President Trump from office. I'm using the same word that Norm Eisen used, eject. They're very confident they're going to eject President Trump from office. Now, he's put together, I think before President Trump even got in office, over 200, lawfare lawsuits against President Trump's administration. At 12:01 p.m. on January 20th of 2025, Norm Eisen foot soldiers actually was there at the Trump Hotel to issue the first legal complaint to start their frivolous lawsuit against President Trump. Already before Trump even really, he did anything, 12:01 p.m. he was just sworn in, and he's out there bragging about it, which is it's not very smart. These people aren't very smart. Okay. Tonight we're going to go through the legal repercussions for facilitating interstate riots. That's a big deal. Okay. We're going to discuss the immigration laws. I'm just basically going to give you the source reference, the link, the official punishment, the statutes for putting together cross or interstate riots, facilitating them, directing them. They're paying for them. Let's see here. We're going to talk about the fentanyl deaths, trafficking deaths that they know while they were actually directing and facilitating innovation into our country. They know all this stuff is illegal, right? But I guess they think they have the majority, and they don't have the majority. We've discussed this multiple times. Now, this is going to be a very positive live stream. Okay. Revealing evil, basically, you can't really have anything good if you don't reveal the evil, right? To stop the evil. With the attempts to stop the evil is the reason why the watchmen and women on the wall sound the alarm, okay? And their evil comes in many modern different ways to attack each of us. The doesn't just come by the sword, right? It comes by, we saw what happened when people were detained at I believe it was the airport. They had a biological weapon. Okay, uh, this current Department of Homeland Security, um, the let's just say the changes in the intel community, that's not going to be tolerated. These people are going to be held accountable, and the only way to stop this evil, and this evil, I mean this blatant in our faces, uh, lawfare and just sin and breaking the law is all out there for us all to see. And they try to cover it up and make it sound like, for example, like in Los Angeles, those are different type of angels. Angelus, you know, those are different type of angels. Those are the demonic ones that basically were booted out of heaven. The third of Satan and his troops, the third of those angels were cast out of heaven. Remember, those demonic spirits are among us. You can actually see them openly now. I mean, they think they have the majority, whatever. They don't have the majority. Now, from a Christian perspective, let me just say this. Remember, a third of the evil angels, the rebellious angels that work with Satan, as far as the scriptures are concerned, were tossed out of heaven. And what was one of the reasons why they were tossed out of heaven? Because they were false witnessing against our brethren, right? Our brethren, right? Day and night. And God just got tired of it. I guess he directed the angel Michael to just give them the big fat boot in their rear ends and kicked them out of heaven. So a third of the angels in heaven is only 33%. So if we put this in a Christian perspective, not to discriminate against any other faiths out there, I mean, religious organizations, whatever. In the United States alone, the last poll I checked was 69% or 70%, depending on which poll you look at, of American citizens identify themselves as Christians. Okay? God respecting people, right? To follow the law and try to live a God life. Life. You know what I mean? It's pretty self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. We are law and order people in the Christian community, and I can't speak for the Catholics, but the Christian community, I mean, as a whole, which should include Catholics, I mean, Roman Catholicism, whatever. But anyways, we don't support murder. We don't assaulting good people. We don't support basically paying for stones. I saw a flatbed the other day traveling down a major interstate with these special bricks, and these bricks had holes in them. Guess what you can do with those bricks? You can get a hammer, right? If that brick is too heavy for certain people to throw at law enforcement officials, guess what? They can pop that little hammer out and bust those bricks into thirds. There's like 3 holes, like on the top and the bottom, or the that runs down the length of the brick, and you could just take a hammer and bust out those. You can bust those out in thirds, so you can throw a third of that brick. Now, some of these people out there, these people, in my opinion, they're basically possessed by demon entities. Like the the wild man that had a legion, right? Legion, a legion of demons in him. He was so wild that they had to basically set a stake in the ground and basically tie him to a stake, so he doesn't go out there and basically kill or rip somebody to shreds, right? So he was basically uh, excommunicated outside the community, outside the city or village, whatever. So he could not harm anyone, right? So remember that story in the Bible? Check it out. Uh, the legion, they called it a legion of demons, and I forgot the number of how many demons it takes, or spirits, evil spirits, to make up a legion. But if somebody can help me out with that, just put that number in the chat. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty simple Google search. But anyways, I'm going to try to stay on topic today and get this information out there. Hey, great to see you, Tanya. And remember, this is positive. It's so obvious now. It should be obvious to everybody. Remember the summer of love back in, hindsight, perfect vision. We have hindsight, perfect vision to look at the same operations going on right now in multiple cities around our country. Los Angeles, and by the way, they said, "Oh my God, there was 1,000 people there. There was 2,000 people rioting, right? 2,000 people." They try, when they zoom in on these crowds, like maybe a crowd of a block of maybe 50 people, whatever, or 100 people. They zoom in and they narrow their camera lens where it looks like, man, there's millions out there. So if there was 900 or 1,000, I hope people stay with this live stream tonight and share it. So anyways, you know how many people are, the last poll in 2024, I looked up how many people are in Los Angeles, in the metropolitan area, I guess they call it. Let's see here. I have it on one of my pages. There's over 12 million. 12 million. Even the aerial footage of those people, therefore, in Chicago for so-called peaceful protest against ICE, they're showing the aerial footage. It looks like, okay, could be a couple thousand, maybe 3,000. Chicago, I didn't look up how many people, the population in Chicago, but that's a major city in the United States of America. So anyways, I think Los Angeles is the largest city. And okay, so let me check out this poll here real quick. Stand by. The current metro area population of Los Angeles County, estimated population is, the current metro area population is 12,598,000. The metropolitan area, the current metropolitan area of Los Angeles is 12,598,000. By the way, those rioters, whatever, however you want to call them, peaceful protesters, you got a right to say whatever you want to. That's your opinion. Hey, go out there and espouse your opinion, right? But we know better. The population of Los Angeles in 2024 is estimated to be 3,795,936, right? Los Angeles County's estimated population is 9,606,925. Say there's 2,000. Say there's 3,000 out there protesting, right? Or rioting. Because there's definitely rioters out there. You see all the police cars. By the way, who pays to basically purchase new law enforcement vehicles that they caught on fire and vandalized or whatever, and just totally destroyed? Who pays for that? It's the people. The people in Los Angeles. Say you just say, okay, in Los Angeles alone, 3,795,936. The people that work and pay taxes and state taxes, whatever, you know, they're paying for the replacement and to fix all those buildings. And what about the shops that they vandalized and smashed in their windows, whatever, doors, and went in there and looted everything out of the stores? Who pays for that? The business owners. And a lot of those business owners are immigrants here legally, okay? Here in our country legally. So remember, not only do the godlike people that try to do everything right the best they can, but we're human, of course, we make mistakes, right? Those people that want to rebel against God, that followed Satan, whatever, they were booted out. Nobody wants, unless there's something wrong with you, seriously wrong with you, nobody wants to be, see people being murdered in cold blood or smashed in the head with a rock or stone or brick or smashed in the head with anything. We see it, we got it all on video. But anyways, it's being confronted and you have to. Okay, so one of the things I like to do is read you're talking about law and order, the legal justification for holding these people accountable that facilitated and directed the invasion into our country between 2021 and 2025. The legal justification is the full power, the supreme law of the land is behind you for holding these people accountable. You just don't say, okay, you got away with felonies, high crimes, and all this stuff, and resulted into thousands and thousands of deaths of fentanyl alone. And they know that the primary, basically, way they got into those dangerous drugs, that fentanyl got into our country, was through that open southern border. And who signed the auto pen for all that stuff? Did they ever even tell Joe Biden that he had a, what do you call that? Like a very, very, very bad prostate cancer? Did his doctors or people that, what do you call it, medical advisors, whatever, did they even tell him he had that type of prostate cancer? I forgot what you call it. I'm not a doctor, so please, somebody fact check it and give me the information. Put it in the chat. You're welcome to put it in the comments section, because when the live stream ends, the chat disappears. Okay, so the justification for holding these people accountable, and it's here. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and against domestic violence. Go look it up for yourself. Fact check me. Okay? What does the Bible say about this? Where, if you don't think that our laws are basically based on moral living or whatever, I can't help you. I really can't. I really don't think I can help you. Okay, what does it say in the book of Exodus? This goes all the way back all the way back to the Old Testament. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I shall honor thy father and the mother. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Of course, when a spouse, either the man or woman that is caught in adultery, you have legal grounds to sue them for divorce, right? Or for, I think it's fornication, I think it is in the Bible. Also talks about that in the New Testament. But thou shalt not false witness. It's against the law once you raise your right hand, right, under oath, and to lie, right, to false witness. That's part of the reason why we have the laws against perjury. So people can't go out like, okay, for example, two people go, only one person goes out there and falsely accuses you of doing something wrong. That's in the Bible too. Takes the mouth of two witnesses, right? And then there's going to be a judge there, right? One sitting on the judge's seat to see if those two witnesses are lying. They'll do their investigation, right? They'll call the accused, whatever. This goes all the way back to the old days. And, the minor matters was given to very capable men back then. Moses basically, he judged greater matters. So, because he was burning himself out. Actually, his father-in-law, Jethro, basically recommended, listen, you're just wearing yourself out here trying to listen to all these cases, whatever, of injury, whatever, to your fellow citizens. Just get together these capable men out there that basically knew the commandments and all that stuff, the statutes, the ordinances, and get them to handle matters with people concerning around 100 or whatever, and tens and fives and whatever. And so that's where you have the higher court and the lower courts. That was set up in the Bible. We use the architecture in the Bible to set up our judicial branch of government, to set up our executive branch of government, and to set up the legislative branch of government. That's what we used. That's what the founders used. So in our Bible, in Exodus chapter 12, verse 49, I want y'all to listen to this really quick, because this directly addresses what's going on now. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. There's not separate laws for somebody because they're rich or poor, or because they're a politician, or because they're a great lawyer, right? There's not separate laws for these people. The people that are basically organizing, facilitating, directing, and funding the riots, there's not separate laws for them. They don't get a free pass because they might be part of this club or that club, or some type of political organization, or another type of political organization. Our laws are developed or made for everyone that lives in our country. And of course, there's laws that pertain to minors and, and adults, so anyway, there's more than one place where it says that, but mainly I just wanted to get the broader category. There's one law for all of us. Our law, if you're a United States citizen, or even if you're here legally, right, one shape, form, or the other, and even if you're here undocumented, they call it undocumented. Let's just say undocumented, right, to be fair and honest. There's one law for you too. We all have to abide by the same laws. Since when does some people think that they can get away with breaking the law, blatantly break the law, set up a broader criminal conspiracy to overthrow our duly elected government, which included our president, before he and his administration even got in office. I don't care what you say about General Flynn. You had Crossfire Hurricane, you had Crossfire Razor. We already know about all this stuff. We already know what they did. They go out there and brag about it. So let's go to where's it? Where else does it say in the Bible about one law? You have city ordinances, right? I think you have county ordinances. There's basically things you can't do, in the city or whatever. So let's see. Let me go to Numbers chapter 15. Verse 16. One law and one manner shall be for you and for the stranger that sojourneth with you. Okay, back up one scripture before that. Numbers chapter 15, verse 15. The ordinance shall be both for you of the congregation and also for the stranger that sojourneth with you. An ordinance forever in your generations, as ye are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. Okay? Let's go. Now, when you go to Numbers chapter 15, verse 15, you can see the cross references on that. Okay? It directs us to verse 29 in Numbers chapter 15. What does verse 29 say in Numbers 15? Ye shall have one law for him that sinneth through ignorance, both for him that is born among the children of Israel and for the stranger that sojourneth among them. Okay, stranger also refers to alien. That's where what alien means, right? A stranger, a foreigner, okay? It's not derogatory. There's strangers in pretty much every country out there in the world, right? On the planet. Okay, let's go back to, remember, natural born citizen. Where'd that come from? The president has to be a natural born citizen, right? That goes back again to Exodus chapter 12, verse 49. One law shall be to him that is homeborn and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Natural born, right? Homeborn, born in the country or the tribe or whatever, back then, way back then. So what is the other cross reference that we have? Okay, that's Numbers chapter 9, verse 14. Go to Numbers chapter 9, verse 14. I know y'all going to get tired of this, but I haven't started on the New Testament yet. But I'm showing the organizations, the foundations that were set up to have civil societies, to live amongst each other in peace. Right? So Numbers chapter 9, verse 14. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you and will keep the Passover unto the Lord according to the ordinance of the Passover and accordance to the manner thereof, so shall he do. Ye shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land. Okay? Homeborn or natural born, right? Homeborn in the land. Okay, so, all right, since we got the supreme law of the land, we got both, not only the Declaration, the U.S. Constitution, United States of America Constitution, and we're not talking about the United States Corporation. That's a totally different topic. Good to see you, Jeff B. They have launched a ballistic How many did they launch, Jeff? Let me see here and go to my. So if they launched it in Israel, looks like they're trying to provoke an attack, right? To justify their evil, right? Yeah. You can't have the IAEA, the International Atomic what IA Energy um I don't know, agency, whatever. They basically just came out and said that they don't have the license to basically enrich uranium, or I believe it is, or to make weapons, right? So, you know, to have a peaceful world, right? You can't have people having nuclear weapons that are calling for the death to America, right? Or wiping Israel off the map. Now, there's some radicals out there that believe that they have every right to do so. What? Excuse me? It. Yeah. So, Jeff, did you launch a ballistic missile attack or what? Okay, let me go to my source reference. It's normally pretty up to date here, real quick. Okay. New York Police Department attacked, arson sets 9 police cars on fire. So, you know, those people, those traitors, I call them traitors, that allowed they directed and facilitated invasion into our country. It also included terrorist organization or cell members into our country. We already know they're here regarding Iran, right? They're already here. Okay. So the IAEA expected to declare Iran a violation of nuclear protocols. Trump expected to declare end of nuke negotiations. And there's an attack. Says there. Hold on a second. Let me see if I have anything. Okay, flash bulletin. Urgent. Multiple reports. Hundreds of fighter jets over Iraq heading into Iran. Yeah, we didn't want that. Hundreds of fighter jets over Iraq heading into Iran. So, we have to be on extremely high vigilance in the United States of America based on the intel. These are intel sources. This is no joke. This is no laughing matter. Of course, over there, it's 7 hours ahead of us. So we're at 8 or might be a little bit more ahead of us. So it's like dark 30 over there. Those are the times normally that you know, they they initiate their evil, right? At nighttime, right? So they can hide, right? Hide in the darkness of night or early morning hours. So let me click on this link here. Hundreds of warplanes and drones are flying over Iraqi Kurdistan skies, according to reports from local sources. Inside Israeli, the Minister of Defense declared a special situation in the home front. Air raid sirens are currently active across both Iranian and Israeli territory. Yeah. Israel has issued an unprecedented warning in recent hours to 3 Arab countries, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria, regarding potential involvement in a regional conflict on Iran's side in the event of an escalation. Yeah, they're fighting for their survival, surrounded pretty much. You know, uh, while the United States still endures a belligerent occupation due to the the evil ones facilitating and directing an invasion into our country. What do you think they're doing it for? See, they're also trying to provoke the president of the United States or antagonize the United States into basically responding to their threats. And you just can't, these are serious, legitimate threats out there. You know, this isn't just some drummed up stuff, putting out fear porn so everybody gets scared and hides under their desk and their schoolhouse. I guess everyone's out for the summer, right? So, anyways, jeez, this isn't good. So, anyways, if anybody can pop something in the chat, if you see anything, so I can focus on the rest of the live stream. I'm going to go through this real quick. Now, once we go through this stage, whatever, because of the intel and the threat, the situation, the current situation report that the intel provides the president of the United States and his team, his cabinet, his administration, and Congress is getting these intel briefings too. The Speaker of the House and also the Senate Majority Leader Thune, I guess that's his name. Once they get these threat briefings, they, hey, they might have to raise the DEFCON, defense readiness condition, for our military. And if they haven't done it already, they're probably going on alert now based on the activity that's ongoing. I do believe that the president of the United States, and both with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, they've already notified the family members of those servicemen, men and women serving in Iraq. I don't know if we have any people still left. I'm sure we got troops in Iraq still. I don't know about Syria, but anyways, that's all I'll say about that. So we have to keep a very close eye on that. Pray to God. Remember Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. As translated, children of God, they translate it to sons of God. Okay. So, back then, they didn't use women to fight wars, but I guess they did fight in certain special like wartime events. They had to fight, and many of them had. So not to say that women can't have the right to of self-defense. That's not true, especially in the modern 21st century that we're living in. So everyone has a right to self-defense, right, to defend themselves. Good, honest, law-abiding people. They're not involved in any crimes like murder, assault, stealing, anything like that. They have a right to self-defense. They have a right to secure their home, which includes their possessions. You think about it. Back in the 1800s, I guess the first automobiles didn't come out to the early 1900s. So before that, was your mode of transportation. Your livelihood was basically was on your horse or your transportation getting back and forth. So if you stole a horse back then, that was your means of survival. That's you get the death penalty back then. A horse thief, they used to hang horse thieves. I hate to say it. Today, in today's time, with all these cars and modes of transportation, buses, taxis, whatever, Ubers, your own POVs, your private automobile vehicles, whatever, trucks, buses, whatever you drive, airplanes, helicopters, balloons, you know. So there's so many modes of So anyways, yeah. And what I don't like either is, there's a certain part of this government that has been involved in malicious prosecution or part of the coup. Okay, so let me go back to the Rumble. Make sure we're still live here. We should be. So, yep, the live button's still working. Welcome everybody again. I don't know why nobody's here tonight. This is an earlier time, so people out west, I hope you share this live stream. Okay, let me check this out real quick. Hold on a second. Okay, now I talked about Norm Eisen before. Now this is Amuse, the source reference. Norm Eisen's perfectly legal color revolution against Trump. Perfectly legal, right? Well, it kind of says when you go in here, I guess that's just, like eye candy, the title. So you go in there, oh, we're all justified. Was there a coup? That question, when asked in the context of American politics, invites ridicule from respectable quarters. Yet when the subject turns to foreign regimes, that same question is treated with analytical seriousness. Political scientists pour over cases from Georgia to Ukraine, from Venezuela to Egypt, cataloging the hallmarks of so-called color revolutions, soft regime change efforts executed through legal, media, and civic levers rather than military ones. Oddly, however, the moment one notices similar tactics deployed on America's soil, the conversation ends. So this is basically an oxymoron title, right? Norm Eisen's perfectly legal color revolution against Trump. They knew all that stuff. Russia was a bunch of falsehoods, a bunch of lies, a pack of lies, right? They continue to attack the president of the United States with a pack of lies. They get the media to read their scripts, to flood the zone with their scripts. Okay, if you want to know where you really need to focus on flooding the zone, go watch Event 201 highlights reel. It's only like 13 minutes long. And listen to how they're going to go after people, right? Remember? That was Event 201 global pandemic exercise based on the new coronavirus. That was held in New York on October 18, 2019. They already told us, they're already setting the path to flood the zone, to censor people, to deplatform people if they said anything that didn't align with their opinions, okay? Or their you could call them so-called truths, right? Okay, so we saw what happened in Egypt when they overthrow Hosni Mubarak, right? That was the color revolution. They brought in who? Mohammed Morsi, one of the leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood. Remember, that was all staged. They broke Mohammed Morsi out of prison in a Cairo, Egypt prison cell, killed 2 Egyptian guards in the process. Mohammed Morsi, when he died, he was being prosecuted by the Iraqi, I think, Supreme Court for treason, working with Iran and another group, uh, you know, operating predominantly out of Gaza. So what about another country? So there's not just Egypt. What about Libya, Gaddafi? Whether you believe he deserved it or not, that was a regime change operation. Now, actually, that wasn't really a soft coup because he ended up dying. Who was basically I think is Ansar al-Sharia, right? That was funded basically. Remember what happened to Christopher Stevens, right? I think that's an ambassador to Libya. What they did to his body, almost kind of identical, almost to Gaddafi, right? When they dragged him out on the streets, what they did to Gaddafi, whether you liked him or not, whether you believe he deserved it or not, that's neither here or there. That's what they did to him. What about what they did to Yanukovych? Because he had, by the way, Hosni Mubarak kept a peace treaty with Israel for like 35 years. What about Ukraine in 2014? The same playbook. Color revolution. Overthrow Yanukovych that had a peace treaty with Russia. So, what's his name? Norm Eisen, he's out there basically bragging that they're going to eject President Trump out of office. So this could actually boil down to a hard military coup, because I don't want to go back through the entire history of Milley and those people and those generals that were put in place by a previous administration, Biden administration, right? So a lot of those generals, they might be given rewards to basically try to be part of a traitorous hard crew to overthrow our current government. This is what it looks like to me. This is the precursors. These riots are precursors that they've basically been behind for all these other countries. The coup in Egypt is more aligned, in my opinion, to the same as the coup, the lawfare and all this stuff that they're attacking President Trump with. So what about Ukraine? In 2014, Barack Obama basically bragged about it on Fareed Zakaria interview on CNN, that we brokered a deal to remove Yanukovych from power, and then he fled to Russia. Why did Yanukovych flee to Russia for? Because they were going to Gaddafi him, or do like what happened to Christopher Stevens, right? Remember? They got operatives over there too, foreign operatives working for the same team. They brought them all into the United States. We kept warning, and the media blocked coverage. They blocked you from getting anywhere near the border, so you couldn't report it to the American citizens. The ones that suffered the most, of course, were the ones that lived along the border. A lot of horrible stories. They suppressed those stories too. So I don't know. While I'm doing this live stream, there's not hardly anybody here. So, anyways, let me go back to the live stream, make sure everything's fine here. Still live, thank God. So, anyways, let's go to the next source reference. I'm going to get through these source references very, very quickly. Now, that Norm Eisen, basically those words from Norm Eisen, BCB. It's on BCB, Black Conservative, BCP, I think, Black Conservative Patriot, I believe it is, his channel. So you can go check it out over there. I watch his show. I also used to watch Nana. I I forgot the news. I forgot her channel name, but uh, Nothing But the News, right? That used to be Nana's channel. That's his mom, I believe it is. But I used to listen to that channel. A lot of good reporting there on that channel as well. I have a lot of sources, basically, other journalists or freelance journalists. But yeah, I hope people are still around. There shows only one other person other than myself on YouTube. But oh, you watch them too, Melinda, right? Cool. Yeah, they're BCP, I think it is, Black Conservative Patriot. Excuse me for not, I can go to it, but I got so many tabs open right now. I don't want to lose my tabs and my source references because I'm going to get through this as quick as I can. So normalizing is perfectly legal color revolution. When you actually read against Trump, that's what they're doing. And you think about all the millions and millions of dollars of our tax dollars that are paying for this, to basically for their law, to fight against their lawfare. Okay. Let me see here. There's laws against malicious prosecution. These people should have already been held accountable a long time ago. I guess my only reasoning, my only logic for me trying to understand why these main figureheads aren't being arrested. Let's be honest. I don't care about Obama's skin tan or lack thereof. That's the furthest thing from my mind when I talk about these people. So if you want to blame it all on Biden because he's got a lighter skin tan than Barack Obama, I think he's got a lighter skin tan. Uh, you know, you put a white piece of printing paper up to Joe Biden's arm or whatever. I'm pretty sure he's a little bit darker than a white. I haven't seen anybody walking around with white skin as white as a piece of printer paper. I don't know. I check mine, make sure I still have a tan here. Yeah, I still have a little bit of a tan going on. I don't shave all my arm hair or nothing like that. And, I do have blood flowing. So there's a little bit of pinkish and red and, you know, so, but I do have a little bit of a tan. Uh, I wish I could live in a cave because then just basically pray, meditate, fast, and get into the Word of God, right? And it's kind of amazing when you do all that. And yeah, so maybe come out of there looking like a crazy wild man, like maybe like John the Baptist, right? Kind of like Elijah too, right? Elijah and John the Baptist. I can't remember what Jesus said or Yeshua. I call it Yeshua because he was raised by either Hebrew speaking or I'm pretty sure they spoke Hebrew because Jesus could read the ancient Hebrew manuscripts, right? So on the seventh day or Sabbath day, as customarily done, he would go into the synagogues and basically get the and I could prove all this with scripture, by the way. And he would read from the manuscripts. I think he read from Isaiah, right? Uh, Isaiah, that's part in the Bible. I think it's in Luke chapter 3:16 or something, beginning somewhere around there, where he traveled and basically he went inside a synagogue and he asked the attendee or the priest there to give him the manuscript from Isaiah, and then he read it, right? And that was written in the day in Hebrew. You know, not one jot or tittle was altered from those manuscripts. Remember, the scribes, if they messed up just one jot or one tittle, right? They would basically destroy it and rewrite it to make another copy before they had the printing press and all that stuff. But anyways, let's see here. So source references. So if you want to read that article for Norm Eisen. He's one of the main figureheads behind this lawfare. Remember, before Trump even got in office, he had like 200. He had already put together over 200 lawsuits against Trump and the Trump administration. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's part of the lawfare to overthrow. That's part of the soft coup. They even brought Norm Eisen's name up when they're talking about the color revolution. So Norm Eisen's perfectly legal color revolution against Trump. Perfectly legal? Come on now. That's really bending the truth quite a bit. I mean, it's a lie. Come on now. It's a lie. We already know. We know it's not perfectly legal. Okay. Okay, now what about riots? What's the legal justification to hold these people accountable for riots? The ones that fund it and are directing and facilitating interstate riots across the border of other states, right? Okay, riots, legal aspects, the Federal Riot Act, okay? What does it say? On April 10th, 1968, Congress enacted the Riot Act of 1968, 18 USC Code 2101, 2102. That was written, I guess, put out on not established in 1999, which made it a federal crime to use any facility of interstate commerce to facilitate it in any way through commerce, paying for it, right? To use any facility of interstate commerce to incite or participate in a riot. Look how many riots they got planned. You could call them peaceful protests as you want, if you want to, but we know better. There's saboteurs, provocateurs in those protests that could get some people to do what they shouldn't be doing. So, okay, let me read this whole thing and then I'll without talking over it, right? On October 10th, 1968, Congress enacted the Riot Act of 1968, 18 USC Code 2101, 2102, 1999, which made, that was the year 1999, 2102 was put out there, which made it a federal crime to use any facility of interstate commerce to incite or participate in a riot. The federal act thus focuses on the individual who crosses a state line for the purpose of creating public disorder. One of the underlying assumptions was that outside agitators play a role in causing modern urban disturbances. The act provides whoever travels in interstate or foreign commerce or uses any facility of interstate or foreign commerce, including but not limited to the mail, telegraph, telephone, radio, or television with internet with intent A, to incite a riot, or B, to organize, promote, encourage, participate in, or carry on a riot, or C, to commit any act of violence in furtherance of a riot, or to aid or abet any person in inciting or participating in or carrying on a riot or committing any act of violence in furtherance of a riot, and who either during the course of any such travel or use or thereafter performs or attempts to perform any other overt act for any purpose specified in paragraph A, B, C, or D of this paragraph shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. Okay, these people can be imprisoned up to 5 years or fined or both, right? That's far as according to the statute 2101. Okay, 2101. The last. Okay, 2101. That's according to April 10th, 1968 Congress Right Act of 1968, 18 USC 2101. Okay. Now they did some amendments to that. I don't know, but the gist of it all is those people that are funding, and we got, looks like, okay, there's allegations of a person, an heiress to Walmart. I won't go any further. We already got the organization names. They're being funded. We got a certain person, Gulf Sierra, if you will. Okay. So if you want to check this out for yourself, I've been screaming from the rooftops about this all the way, even way before. Remember these riots going down, no justice, no peace, and all that stuff, and marching down, the streets and basically blocking interstate travel, blocking safe passage, blocking people commuting to their job place or back and forth to home or the grocery store, impeding their travel, causing public disorder, promoting it, paying for it. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing. And who facilitated and directed the invasion into our country? Those are the same people trying to overthrow this president, promoting anarchy, trying to provoke violence. We're human. You can only take so much. I mean, if you do certain things to people, aggressively, violently, some people act in a different way than a lot of other people. Some people just try to tone it down. Listen, but you got a right to defend yourself. The United States has a right to defend our country. That's their primary job. What we read in Article 4, Section 4, should we read it again? I know people is probably nauseous to hear me reading this over and over again, but which other, what do you call those people? Influencers, major influencers, these major mega channels. Have you heard anybody go through this in detail like this, right? And read in Article 4, the justification to hold these people accountable. Not a single one of them has been held accountable. Look what they did to Mayorkas. They let them walk scot-free. We have special forces operative teams out there on the ground that conducted the surveillance, the audio recordings of them facilitating and directing the invasion into our country. We have Mayorkas on tape, on video, when he traveled to Panama to basically help facilitate and direct the invasion into our country for 4 years. He was never held accountable. We have the video surveillance footage of him going to the holding facilities where all these foreigners were going into in Panama and waiting for their buses, their transportation to be imported into the districts that the National Democratic Redistricting Committee basically set up to have the transportation being brought into all those districts to basically for geopolitical posturing so that the Democrats could take over absolute control of our government. And the people has no say. When it happens, it happens. We have no more say in our elections. It's commonsensical, people. It doesn't take much of a understanding to know exactly what they've done and what they continue to do and get away with. Unfortunately, you got people on both sides of the aisle, as far as the political spectrum goes, that are either unethical or they are doing things that are illegally or that are illegal for their own personal interest and just posturing themselves, right? Most of those people that set up all this stuff, from 2021 to 2024, these public officials in our government, they were promoted. You think they're going to go out there? What do you think they did? They had a burn barrel party before Trump ever got in office. We know exactly what they did. Oh, I read the files. The files have already been burnt. God, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. Who notified that consulate in Houston before the President Trump gave that order to shut it down? And they started their burn barrel party, right? They started their burn barrel party. We already know what they do. That oh what? Wipe it with a cloth? They're doing a lot of wiping. Let me tell you that. A lot of wiping, a lot of deleting. Oh, they can. There's a backup. There's a backup. You know, look, I don't want to. I don't want to embellish my career. We had tape backups. We can go back and basically go back to the archives and replay, but they know that too. A lot of lefties, those are the techies, right? The techies, those are the ones that got the most experience. We got a lot of people in the conservative, uh, or Republican Party that are tech illiterate. They're illiterate when it comes to technology, like the internet, computers, all that stuff, networking, you name it. They were even going back and forth and accessing bulk data, right? Intel bulk data. Who came forth and basically warned the president back in, what was it, 2017? The director of National Security Agency, right? Remember a certain admiral? They knew they were doing it. They were accessing bulk data, retrieving information, manipulating information, or deleting information. They were being given administrative passwords to cover up their tracks. Nothing to see there, folks. Nothing whatsoever, right? Even going into archives. That's happened before. Well, a person put something in their shoe or something like that, got caught. What happened to him? I don't think they did a single thing to him, right? I can't remember. I just one. There's plenty. I'm sure there's more instances to prove that happened before. Oh, it's not a perfect system, RH. Yeah, well, that was a mistake. Mistake, right? Mistakenly. Oh, they got lighter fluid, right? They mistakenly lit a match to it, right? And burned it all. Go back to YouTube. I hope there's nothing going on. If anybody's got any reports, please pop it in the comment section over on YouTube. I might have to go check out, see what's going on, because I haven't seen this happen to me in a long time. I only have one other viewer here besides myself. Oh man, come on now. Gotta fast forward to YouTube. Testing 1, 2. Okay. Let me give myself a thumbs up. Maybe it helps get the alerts out there. Okay, so the other source references I was going to provide for everyone. All you got to do really is just a Google search. You can find most of this stuff yourself within a matter of seconds. Okay. Okay, we talked about the riots. Okay, riots, legal aspects, the Federal Riot Act. Okay, commerce, interstate, furtherance, and purpose. Okay, that's law. I can't read it that well, but basically, if you type that in, you'll find the information you need. Okay, organizing and or funding interstate riot, criminal statute of U.S. Constitution search. I wanted to find out. I'm pretty sure I read that in the Constitution somewhere, an amendment or whatever in the Constitution. I just can't find it. I'll look for it at another time. Okay, so I wanted to bring this up for facilitating, directing uh, the invasion into our country and giving people jobs. Okay, this is some of y'all may have heard this before, but on May 29th, this article came out, 2025, of course. This is from Fox 35. ICE raid in Tallahassee, Florida. ICE raid in Tallahassee, 100 arrests at Florida construction site, officials say. Now, I don't know how many of y'all remember that person that was driving down State Road 60 in Florida. He was heading westbound. A Bartow High School student, 18 years old, was heading to a school, and it was like right before, it was like dawn's early light, or it was dark, or whatever. It was really maybe just got a little bit of light outside, but he's going down the driver in the SUV. There's like 6 people in the SUV with him. I think it was. They were going to pick up another construction worker, right? And he turned right out in front of her. She's going about 60. You can go about 60 miles an hour in that location where the accident was. She had no chance to stop or evade or maneuver around the SUV. She plowed right into the side door, the passenger door, killed the guy sitting in that passenger door, passenger seat immediately, instantly. I think 2 others died. Another might have died at the scene, or 2 of them died after they medevaced him to the emergency room or whatever they took him to. Now, the young lady that was driving, she had a severe injury. And, when you get injured like that and you get a nasty break like she had, that could put you in a shock, whatever. But anyways, they medevaced her to a um, emergency care place or a hospital or emergency room, whatever. And she was basically, thank God she survived that. But come to find out, the guy driving the SUV, the Expedition, he did not have a driver license. He was not here. He's not documented to here to even be here legally, right? So he's the one that caused the accident. And he had about 6 inches long laceration on his forehead or on his head of staples. They had to staple his head shut, right? That wasn't, they called that minor injuries, but it looked kind of severe to me. So anyways, yeah, so more than 100 undocumented immigrants in a ICE raid in Florida. The raid targeted a construction site in Tallahassee, not far from Florida State University's campus. ICE officials said those arrests were from several countries. Those arrested were from several countries and that some had previously been deported, right? And that others had criminal records. Okay, so all right, so okay, what does our law say about improper entry by alien? Okay, let's read that. Okay, this is from Cornell Law School. 8 U.S. Code, Section 1325, improper entry by alien. Okay, this is from Cornell Law School. Again, 8 U.S. Code. I think that's section emblem. I'm not sure. It looks like a S, two S's or something. 1325, improper entry by alien. Okay, improper time or place, avoidance of examination or inspection, misrepresenting and concealment of facts. Any alien, one, enters or attempts to enter the United States at any time or place other than designated like by immigration officers like ports of entry. They're supposed to be coming in ports of entry, right? Or two, eludes examination or inspection by immigration officers. Or three, attempts to enter, hold on a second, or obtains entry to the United States by willfully false or misleading representation or the willful concealment of a material fact shall, for the first commission of any such offense, be fined under Title 18 or imprisoned not more than 6 months or both. And for a subsequent commission of any such offense, be fined under Title 18 or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. So, any alien, improper time or place, this is section B, whatever B, any alien who is apprehended while entering or attempting to enter the United States at a time or place other than as designated by immigration officers shall be subject to a civil penalty of at least $50 and not more than $250 for each such entry or attempted entry, or twice the amount specified in paragraph 1 in the case of an alien who has been previously subject to a civil penalty under this subsection. Civil penalties under this subsection are in addition to and not in lieu of any criminal or other civil penalties that may be imposed. Marriage fraud. Remember one certain congressional lady supposedly married her brother, right? Any individual who knowingly enters into a marriage for the purpose of evading any provision of the immigration laws shall be imprisoned for not more than 5 years or fined not more than $250,000 or both. Immigration-related entrepreneurship fraud. Any individual who knowingly establishes a commercial enterprise for the purpose of evading any provision of the immigration law shall be imprisoned not more than 5 years, fined in accordance with Title 18 or both. Okay, what about those people? What about Gavin Newsom? What about all these governors in all these blue states that have sanctuary states or these mayors that have sanctuary cities? Immigration related entrepreneurship fraud. See, they say they pay taxes, right? So that basically helps their personal interest by geopolitical influence by allowing the invasion to come in to their states and setting up these sanctuary states and cities. Listen to this again. I don't know. Man, we need some more competent lawyers on our side. We're talking about the Christian side, conservative side, and or Republican side, right? Again, immigration related entrepreneurship fraud. Any individual who knowingly establishes a commercial enterprise for the purpose of evading any provision of the immigration laws shall be imprisoned for not more than 5 years, fined in accordance with Title 18 or both. Look, they had all those people arrested working, helping putting together something near the University of Florida. That's enterprise, right? You know, we're talking about commerce. Even Bill Clinton said for your economy to grow, you have to have a larger population, right? That's not the way you do it. We have work visas. You got means to come into our country legally, even a tourist visa, student visa, right? You don't have to facilitate and direct an invasion, but that's treason. That's high treason. Those people can be arrested right now. I don't care who they are. Just because you got a corrupt AG and you got these state AGs that are corrupt doesn't mean they can't be arrested. You know, remember, our laws are for all of us, not just for a certain select few. So anyways, that's the way it goes. So we basically covered all the stuff that they've done. And not any of these people have been arrested. They got one state senator or whatever they arrested because he was impeding ICE or federal law enforcement, you know, or he might have assaulted or pushed one of them, whatever. Yeah, he's going to jail. Basically the top level kingpins that basically facilitate and direct the invasion, they're still not being touched. Why? Because they're billionaires? Or because they belong to the uniparty? Or because they operate in a sanctuary state or sanctuary city? You know, we can't pick or choose what crimes we commit. Can we? Can we just pick or? I guess you can. What the hell do we even have an FBI? What the heck do we even have a Department of Justice? What the heck do we even have all these organizations that are not even following the Constitution? This is like low-hanging fruit. And I realize there's so many. If you look at Brunson versus Adams, if you even just look at some of the material there, look what they did J6. It was a setup. Go read the subversion letter. I got it right here. Let me read the title of it. I won't read the whole thing. This is a PDF file, 18 pages long. You don't have to read all 18 pages. Just read the first paragraph. This is a subversion letter they sent out on J6 to subvert the objectors that had already seen enough, you know, hanky-panky, monkeying around. Dr. Paul Gozer, congressional representative of the state of Arizona, he was the first objector to read the evidence into record that he had already retrieved already in the state of Arizona. They obstructed him. The obstruction of that process, congressional process, he was the first one obstructed in that process. Why? Because he was reading that information and they didn't want the public to hear that information. You could go watch J6 joint session for yourself. Man, they were slamming desks down on the floor, making these huge. Dr. Paul Gosar had to call the chairman to re-establish order so he can even read the evidence into record that he had already retrieved. There was objectors that were going to be objectors that morning of J6 that changed their objection status because of what they were told. Kelly Loeffler, senator for the state of Georgia. This is where this evidence comes from. The subversion letter. When did these people get the subversion letter? Let me read the title of this. You can look it up yourself. Refutation of Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger's false election claims. Now, Raffensperger's is spelled Raffensperger''. This is from Voter Georgia, the organization. Voters organized for trusted election results in Georgia. This was basically put out by Garland Favorito. The final edit, February 10th of 2022. The first paragraph. This is all you really got to read to know exactly what they did. On January 6, 2021, Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger wrote to Georgia congressional members, Vice President Pence, and leaders in U.S. Senate and House, claiming that false allegations about the November 3rd, 2020 general elections in Georgia were being made by the president and his allies. That's by President Trump and Trump's so-called allies. The contents of his letter dramatically contradicted findings by the Georgia General Assembly based on extensive firsthand testimony from 3 hearings. The December 3rd, 2020 hearing, Senate Judiciary Subcommittee. December 10th, 2020, House Government Affairs Committee. December 30th. Let me see. Is that a 30th? Yeah, December 30th. Senate Judiciary Subcommittee. Yeah. So all those investigations were done in Georgia's Senate and House, right? All those committees. Before, the 3 of those, before J6, they already knew this information. And they did what to it anyways, right? In my opinion, they subverted Kelly Loeffler. Maybe they had dropped it all because they'd have had total control, anyways, right? Or we kept control of the Senate, whatever. I don't know. But have been nonstop impeachments, right? Lawfare against Trump if he got back in office in 2020. There was definitely omission lies put out there by officials in top level positions about what happened. November, no hindsight, perfect vision. We already have all the evidence. So in my opinion, this is where this is leading right now, and I wish more people were here. Let me click on Rumble real quick. And we're still live, thank God. New scum, thank you. Hey, Teresa, good to see you here. Good to see you. Did you get the alert or? Must have, right? Did you get the alert on Rumble or from Rumble or YouTube? Just curious. I'm gonna switch back over to YouTube real quick, see if there's any activity there. You know, you think the people in Los Angeles, like the metro community, it's like 12 million people. You think they'd be fed up and they'd basically recall Newsom or whatever, or primary, or whatever they do to get him out. Look at his, I mean, you can call it incompetence if you want to, but why? Because of the Green New Deal, they diverted all that water into the Pacific Ocean. I mean, millions of what do you call that? Millions and millions of gallons of oil, or I don't know, millions and millions and millions and millions of gallons of water just going into the Pacific. They diverted it from their agriculture and from going to people's homes where they couldn't even, they had the fire hydrants, they turned on a lot of them. They didn't even have any water in them. People go out there and, with their little hoses or whatever, one that goes, water down, their property, whatever, their roofs, whatever. They didn't even have no water to fight the freaking fires. And Trump has been all on them for, forestry, where you go in and you take out the tinder, stuff, the fallen leaves and dead branches, dead trees, and you keep it cleaned out, and you create these fire barriers, whatever you call them, where, fire can't spread, doing normal forestry work, right? They blocked him from all that stuff. Why? Because it costs money. Still talking about that train that goes to nowhere, right? Over 200 times the budget. What about those? What was it, like $20 billion to go to the homeless in California? What happened to all that money? Nobody cares. By the way, all these people talk in the conquistador language now. They're not the natives of their country. Isn't it kind of funny? Let me just bring up one historical fact I think is kind of important to talk about. But yeah, in a perfect world, these people had already been arrested a long time ago. Oh, okay. For some reason, I have to like refresh YouTube every time I want to see how many people's in YouTube. And sometimes when I refresh Rumble, it updates how many viewers there are. So, as far as YouTube in the chat, Melinda Ritchie was the last one that made a comment, but that was at 8:47 p.m. So like 45 minutes ago, somewhere around there. That's the last comment I see as far as YouTube goes. And it's showing only one other person in YouTube besides myself. I'm viewing my own live stream too. So I kind of got to view it to keep track of it. Anyways, it'd be nice to have a decent laptop, and have my own kind of like studio. I got a spare room, but I got to clean it out still. I got boxes in there still after all this time, and don't really have much room anywhere to put it. Stuff I got to go through. When you move a million times like military people do, and you collect all this stuff, and you have to go through it. I'll take care of this another time. I'm going to get, you know, whatever. You keep putting it off and putting it off, and then you just keep on amassing. You should see my coffee table. My coffee table, I don't have a desk, so it's like my makeshift desk, and I got all these papers. It's a nightmare, but you know, one of these days I'll get my act together. Be nice if I had help, but anyways, let's go back to the source references again. Read those off. Well, anyways, I'm glad the people that are here got the alerts, or whatever, and found out that we were live. I did give myself a thumbs up in Rumble. That makes two people, including one myself. Okay, so let me go through these source references real quick. Now, I just want y'all to read that the title is ridiculous. We know they're behind the color rev. It's almost the same playbook. Remember, we talked about Special Activity Center Political Action Group, okay, or PAG, right, for short, PAG. You have to go check that out and read how they influence elections, not only around the world, but in our country as well. Remember, so they can't say they're not involved in influencing elections when 51 people signed that letter that Hunter Biden laptop has all like the hallmarks of Russian disinformation or whatever the heck they said, which was a complete lie or omission lie, right? They're omitting something. So so they still riding tonight and well, it's not nighttime there yet, right? California. So are they riding in the daytime? These people aren't very smart. So the first one I read, far as now this is a Muse Onyx, but I saw him in another thing. I think that was on BCP, um, Black Conservative Patriot, right? Norm Eisen wants to eject President Trump from office. I think his live stream was Norm Eisen wants to eject President Trump or coup President Trump. So if you check out BCP, Black Conservative Patriot over on YouTube, you can go through his live streams. They're still up on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, but check that out and listen to Norm Eisen himself from his own mouth. Eject and listen to how confident he is that they're going to basically overthrow President Trump before his second term is over. Okay. Now the next source reference. This is really crazy. This is really gaslighting, right? Norm Eisen's perfectly legal color revolution against Trump. Amuse? That's not amusing to me. Okay. I was looking up fentanyl trafficking deaths since 2021. Think so. Coming across they knew those that were directing and facilitating this invasion in our country. They knew that was happening. All those people were dying from fentanyl alone. You know, we don't even talk about just the plain all out murders and what we include assault, drug trafficking, weapons trafficking, now biological weapons trafficking, right, into our country. Riot, riots, legal aspects. The Federal Riot Act. Okay, go check that out. That's by Law J Rank Organization, I believe that's called. Um, the ICE raid in Tallahassee, 100 arrested at Florida construction site. Officials say, go check that out. Over 100 people working in Florida that are, you could say, undocumented, right? Think about all the American citizens that need these construction jobs, like guys and women getting out of high school and, they started construction working as a labor and work their out and learn a trade, work their way up and learn a trade, whatever. end up becoming carpenters, electricians, putting in tile, plumbers, whatever you name it. All those jobs they're taking from American citizens. So what are a lot of American citizens result to? The young men in our country that are here legally. They were born here. Their moms and dads are born here. Their grandfathers and grandmothers were born here. For decades, right? And they can't even get a job when they get out of high school or whatever, or even college, because all these jobs are being taken over. Especially think about the safe states, sanctuary states, and the sanctuary cities. You know, and the hiring people of diversity with really no merit, right? No background qualifications actually in the job, but just because of a certain aspect of the person's physical looks or whatever, you're hired. 18 USC code 1325, improper entry by alien. Let me read this. I don't really like this Cornell Law School one, but I used it. Okay, check this one out. 8 US code 1325, improper entry by alien. Go read that. Okay, and interstate riots. Okay. Okay, and again, if you just came in late, the population of Los Angeles in 2024, the last poll, is estimated to be. See, they have to say estimated because there's so many people. I mean, they just come right through Tijuana, right? Walk right through into San Diego, right? And walk into California since they're a sanctuary state. Yeah, Governor Newsom, right? He said they pay taxes. So he's personally benefiting financially from people coming in our country illegally. So he's facilitating and directing them for commerce to come into his country illegally, not using the port of entry because they all know they wasn't doing it for 4 years. So those people rioting or protesting in Los Angeles, they're a minority. They're not a majority people. Even if there's 2,000 or 3,000 of them there. You know how many people is just in Los Angeles alone in 2024? Estimated to be 3,795,936. By the way, those that are facilitating, directing these invasions, are riots or protests that turn out to be riots. Um, they're dealing in commerce. They're actually facilitating by paying for them, right? Remember Gulf Sierra initials, Gulf Sierra. Remember that. He's just only one. And Trump's being attacked, from my understanding, it's being alleged that Trump's being attacked by an heiress to Publix. I think her name is Christina Walton, right? It sounds like she's paying for this stuff, some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff. Listen to this. The current metro area population of Los Angeles is 12,598,000. So a metropolitan area, Tampa, let's see, let's use another one, Tampa, St. Petersburg metropolitan area. Tampa, population, I should show both. Not Tampa Bay Records. I'm not interested in the baseball game right now. Population of Tampa Bay or Tampa. population. Gotta hurry up and do this. (2020) Tampa population 2020. There's like Tampa is a city located in Hillsborough County, Florida. Tampa has a 2025 population of 413,667 is 413,667. It's also the county seat of Hillsborough County, Tampa, is currently growing at a rate of 1.26 annually. Population has increased by 6.63% since the most recent census, which recorded a population of, and by the way, the census report, they bring in all these people across the border, right? Undocumented, illegally, not properly through the ports of entry. And they basically, they bring them into those districts. According to the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, it's an organization. Look it up. Look up who's responsible for this stuff. Okay, so let me see. Let me redo the search. Of Tampa, St. Petersburg. Population of St. Pete, Tampa, St. Pete metropolitan area is 3,342,963. Now, where they're planning on a lot of riots or protests in Tampa, St. Petersburg metropolitan area. Census data for Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Florida metro area is 3,342,963. So I think Los Angeles is the largest city as far as population goes in the country, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. She does. You know, she might have been working in that sawmill. You know, remember the Waltons? You know, the sawmill they had, and maybe she's a lumberjack. Maybe. Does she wear a flannel shirt? I don't know. So I guess it's getting pretty amped up around Iran. I have to go check out what's his name, Air Force guy. I normally watch to get my intel as far as air traffic, military air traffic. Monkey Works, right? Monkey Works. Monkey. I call him the monkey, right? I don't know. She might be drinking testosterone or something. I don't know. She got a beard, mustache. I hate to say that about people. I mean, I'm just. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I mean, guess we'd have nothing to talk about, would we? I like that. It's the rule I like to, I like to follow. You know, if you don't know RH, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. She's clean shaven. She used the Mach 5. She used the Mach 10, 10 razor blades, right? And Gillette shaving cream. The manly, Irish Spring shaving cream. The manly soap, right? The manly shaving cream. I like Irish Spring. Man, just the facts, Jack. Just the facts. Uh, 5 blades, yeah. What do they call it? 5 sides? Pentagon. A pentagram? A pentagram raising razor blade. Get those rough stubbles in 5 different directions. Clean as a baby's what? I can't say it. That's something I'm saying. That's a compliment. She's very clean shaven. Clean shaven. Let me see. Can I promote this options? Let me see what I can do with this one. Can I pin it somewhere or whatever? Pin this message? I'm afraid to do it. I don't know what it's going to do. Message pinned. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, that's in the chat. I pinned it in the pinned message. Pinned her. We pinned. We pinned Christine. What's her name? Christina Walton, like the Walton Show. We pinned her as clean shaven. I refrained from doing the package check. I didn't want the job on Michelle either. Michael Levon Robinson. I don't want to do the package checking and call Crocodile Dundee for that one. Wow. So well, we're the only two here, so there's nobody else to entertain. I put out all the source references. I have to get off the live stream. Unfortunately, I like to stick around longer, but I'm gonna have to look into some more. Had Jeff B come in earlier on YouTube and said ballistic something in Iran, and I haven't found anything. You seen anything, Teresa? Did Iran launch any? Because this is about the time they do it, like Dark 30, right? Before it gets light outside over there in Iran, that area. Let me see here. Let me refresh this site here. Now, I go to HalTurnerRadioShow.com. I don't like to say this all the time, but remember, there's a lot of people's beliefs that I don't really support. So just take the information. Don't judge the messenger, okay? As far as Hal Turner goes, it's a good site to go check out. He used to be in the FBI, I think, in counterterrorism. So, the propaganda and the hacks, the attacks on people they don't like. That's not supporting their propaganda, whatever. home. So, flash bulletin, urgent, multiple reports, hundreds of fighter jets over Iraq heading into Iran. This was a couple hours ago, I think. Yeah, I've been on about 2 hours now already, I think. Hundreds of fighter jets over Iraq heading into Iran. So I guess it's on, huh? So I'm going to go check out Monkey Works, and I appreciate everybody that's been here tonight or came in and had to leave, whatever. I understand. We all got other lives to take care of. I mean, our domestic lives and, taking care of kids and all that stuff, getting ready, putting your kids to bed and getting them bathed and throwing them all in one tub and turning the shower on for about 5 minutes, hose them down and get them out, get them put on their jammies or whatever, and tuck them in and read them a bedtime story. And, okay. So with that said, remember, we have the majority. We do have the majority. Even if you, no, having faith is a blessing, right? A lot of people haven't been blessed to have faith, but I hope that those that haven't basically have the faith, whatever, I hope that they see something that they go, well, listen, or just go out there one clear night, look at the sky where there's no light pollution. We call it light pollution. Go into like a secluded area. Take your family with you, whatever. If you don't believe in God, I mean, there's got to be something greater than us out there, right? Look up in the stars. Look at all the stars. Look at the moon. I mean, that's the that's the best time to go check it out. Just look at God's beautiful creation. I mean, look at the beautiful oak trees. I mean, I look at my beautiful oak trees and the animals, the birds. I mean, think about it. You're saying, oh, it just came from one big boom, right? The big boom theory. Well, who did the booming? You know. So, anyways, with that said, this concludes the live stream. And remember, we have the majority. If you're just talking about Christians alone that believe in God and doing the right thing and don't support murder, assault, stealing, looting stores, vandalism, all that stuff, lying about other people, you know, falsely accusing our brethren day and night, uh, we have, we're 60%. No, that's almost 3/3. The Satan and his angels was only a third in heaven that was kicked out, right? And just in the United States of America, there's 60% of us that identify as being a Christian, or 59%, depending on which survey you look at. So we have the majority. So that said, in God we trust. Everybody else we have to trust but verify. All we have to do is stay on the right team. John chapter 17 talks about the team spirit. Okay. With that said, good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you're from. This concludes the live stream, and God bless. Thank you.